What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, and this time for the new Ryan Reynolds film, Deadpool. I would like to start off with apologizing for the lateness of this review. I have been extremely busy this last week. Even though I saw this movie last Thursday, I am just now getting to the review, but let's get into it. Deadpool stars Ryan Reynolds and is the story of the comic book character Deadpool, who is a ex-Special Forces operative who then becomes a mercenary after he goes through a crazy experimental process which turns him into a mutated monster, basically, who likes to say a lot of funny things and murder people. To start this review off, this is not a superhero movie for children. This is a rated R movie, and it is rated R for good reason. This movie has violence, nudity, language, everything that a rated R movie has in it is in this movie, even though it's about a superhero. Now, I just want to also clarify, this isn't the first time we've seen a rated R superhero movie. We've only ever seen two other ones, those being The Punisher and then the sequel to The Punisher that even less people know about, but it's awful, so there's reason for that. But the first one with Thomas Jane is not bad, but it very lightly dipped its toes into the warm water of what a rated R movie can be. Deadpool straight cannonballs into what a rated R film can be. Now, the first thing I want to talk about in this movie is the thing that makes this whole movie amazing, and that is Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds holds this movie on his shoulders and does an absolutely phenomenal job. This is easily the greatest performance he's ever given in his career, and I'm so happy that he finally got to make this movie, because ever since he played Wade Wilson in the X-Men Origins Wolverine film, he always said he wanted to make a Deadpool movie and make it right. And this movie makes those jokes about his Green Lantern role and the old Deadpool from that movie that was done so wrong, and it's really funny. And that's the other thing this movie does extremely well, is whoever wrote this movie perfectly. There are a ton of jokes that are really funny, the script makes sense, it works for the character of Deadpool. It does make some slight adjustments on his origin story. I myself am a pretty big Deadpool comic book fan, so I do know some stuff, so going into this I did judge it a little harder, but overall it did a very good job of telling his story and giving us a very good first storytelling for him. Hopefully we get many more. This movie also has some really funny side characters, most notably is TJ Miller playing Weasel. If you aren't watching Silicon Valley yet, watch that show. He's hilarious in that, and he's hilarious in this movie, and I really hope that he comes back for the sequels. Now, the things I want to touch on that this movie does very well, but at the same time has some struggles with, are primarily the action and the jokes. Now, don't get me wrong, this movie is really funny, and I had a ton of fun with this script. But this movie is spitting out jokes faster than you can laugh at them. And that's not an over-exaggeration. This movie probably throws out at least 7 jokes a minute when it's in action sequences or sequences where jokes make sense. Now, if you're throwing out that many jokes, obviously you're gonna have duds. And for me personally, I'd say this movie is 70-30. 70% of the jokes made me laugh, some of them made me laugh really hard and like out loud, and then there's 30% that some of them just I personally didn't find funny, and other ones I thought were kind of cringeworthy because they just weren't very good. Now, 70-30, that's not bad, because if you put as many jokes into a movie as this movie did, that's a solid score to get out of all of those jokes. The other thing is the action. Now, Tim Miller is not an extremely experienced director, and this movie also did not have a very big budget, which is another thing that I think is a little bit wrong, but I can't really blame the filmmakers for that. It's mostly that the CGI in this film is fairly weak at sometimes. It looks really fake, which is not that much of a jab at the filmmakers. It's more at the budget they were handed. The action, though, that Tim Miller directs in this movie is very up close, it's very quick, the edits are fairly quick. Now, we do get some very good action sequences in this film. I really enjoy all the action. None of it is filmed, like, extremely poorly. It's just there's certain moments where I would have appreciated a wide shot to showcase some of the choreography with the swords and whatnot, rather than giving me a lot of up-close cuts. Even though those are very intense and entertaining, I would have liked a little more, like, in-depth, widescreen shot showing me the choreography that these actors learned for these fight scenes. I was worried going into Deadpool. From the trailers, they made me semi-confident. They made me confident about the action, but not necessarily confident about the comedy. And I think that both of those delivered very well, and I think this movie has extremely small flaws that go into it. It's extremely funny, Ryan Reynolds is amazing, the action is good, and the script overall is just very good. It has good side characters, and this movie has very minor flaws, and I really think that the big problem with this movie was the budget they were handed, and I think when they make a sequel, because with the amount of money this movie has made, I don't see how they don't. I really think that when they give them the amount of money they really deserved for this first one, most of those problems will be fixed in the sequel. I'm gonna give Deadpool a B+. I am an extremely big Deadpool fan, and I was very excited for this film to finally come out. It has extremely small errors that I think will be fixed when they get a bigger budget for the sequel, and overall, this movie's just a really good time. If you like some violence and some funny jokes and some fourth wall breaking, this is the movie for you. If you like comic book movies, go check this movie out. It is a hard R. If you don't like violence or language or anything like that, definitely do not go check this movie out. But overall, as a big Deadpool fan, this movie was a solid adaptation of one of my favorite comic book characters. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Deadpool, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.